Okay, today we're going to be reviewing 3 yo-yos here. We got the YoYoFactory NorthStar, the Jensen Kimmitt signature model, and also we got the Yo-Yo Jam Hitman, as well as the YoYoFactory Grind Machine. Okay, we got them out of the box, and we're ready to take a look at them. Now, let's move on to the YoYoFactory's NorthStar. This thing is bad to the bone, man. I love it. They call it, you know, it's good for all plastic yo-yos. However, it's not all plastic. These this black ring on the outside is anodized aluminum, and it comes on both sides. So it's kind of like having these aluminum on the outside rims here and the aluminum on the outside rim here. So it's kind of like the yo-yo jams where they make a plastic body and then have the metal rims. So it's very similar to that. But the shape of it is incredible. It plays really, really smooth. I was highly impressed in playing this yo-yo. It's heavier than it looks. The color, this orange color, is much more brilliant in real life than what's going to show up on video. And it comes in white. I think there's an anodized red aluminum ring on here. So it comes in this color and then in all white with a red ring here. Now let's take this apart and see what we got. Ooh, nice tight fit. And I wanted to show you, they got these arrows on here, one on each side, as well as the grind machine has it too. So I guess that you can, when you start screwing it all the way down, you can remember right where your adjustment was, because it's an adjustable gap. So if you close it that tight, you can remember that, you know, you had about that much distance between the arrows. If you really want to crank it down, really that's about as far as you're going to crank it down at this point. Line the arrows up and you're right back where you were when you took it apart. So that's kind of a cool little feature. I don't know if it's really, really important, but it's a nice little feature to have. The bearing is one of those center track bearings, and the bearing itself is really good. It's definitely decent. I've bought the other concave bearings and stuff, and it matches right up to it. The only thing that I don't like about this is that the concave bearings, the whole bearing is concave from one end to the other. This bearing is more of just flared at the edges. It's flat and then just kind of flared up in the edges. And the flare is what actually goes into the yo-yo. So I don't know about that whole concaved bit, you know, if that's really doing its job. No big deal, because the bearing itself is really good. Drawback though, it's got these spacers in it. I hate those spacers, but so be it. Comes with the slim K-pads here, same size that are in the grind machine. Now the axle, that's one thing that's another drawback about this yo-yo. Not highly important, because the way they've done this on this yo-yo is that I'm going to show you from this is a freehand, Duncan freehand. And take everything out, and it's got that same type of axle that it kind of moves in and out. And if you strip it, you need to know how to get to it. And on this one, you can just push down, push through, and then your axle bolt comes out. Now if you strip it, you know, you can buy a new one and put it in, and you're raring to go here again. Now on this one, I talked to the guys at Yo-Yo Expert and asked them, can you take this axle out? Because it's not locked down to anything. It's just like a bolt. And the response I got from them was, it's possible, but it's not going to be easy. So what I think they meant is that this is kind of a cap here. This is a little cap on the end. And it seems to be glued down, because I've knocked the axle against the table a couple of times pretty good. I wasn't going to go any further than that because I didn't want to harm the yo-yo. But if you're screwing it down time after time, you know, after playing the yo-yo for a while, and you notice that the threads start to strip, why then you're going to have to get that bolt out of there and get a new one. And if it was thread and it deemed the yo-yo unplayable, why then I would go ahead and sacrifice maybe one of these caps if it broke when you start banging it to try to pop these caps off and get this axle out. So that's kind of a little bit of a drawback. I don't think that you're really gonna, because there's a nut on the other side. If I take this, let me see, how did they do that? Pop that off of there. There, pop that out. There's going to be a nut on this, end, and what you're actually doing is from one half to the other. It's just like a nut and a bolt screwing together, and that's your axle. And it's the same situation in here where they've got a nut in this side and then a bolt in this side. And so if you were going to have to take this side out, you'd have to find a bolt that would fit that, which this one does, and just start banging on it to try to get that cap off. I don't know how well it's glued on there, but if you're tenacious, you will eventually get it going and get it good. Now, those are the two drawbacks, but the yo-yo itself is so fun, man. It is a great yo-yo. I can't stop playing it. Really smooth, and it seems like some of the tricks I was having problems with, it just falls right into place, right where you want it. You're able to put it right there. Now let's see. It's like I said, it's heavier than it looks. Now compared to a Dark Magic, it's very, 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 very similar. The feel of a Dark Magic in your hand is the feel as far as the size and the width, because they're very similar. Very similar in diameter as well as width, but the specs on this will be once again, the yo-yo, the Dark Magic is a 2.21, while the NorthStar is a 2.20 in diameter, like this. Now the width of these two, the Dark Magic width is 1.63 and the NorthStar 1.69. So they feel almost exactly the same width. Now they might be talking about this gap here, but I don't think so. We're talking about width, right? Yeah, but 1 point, yeah. So they feel exactly the same to me, but here you're getting a difference of, what is that, 0.06 in the width, but you can barely even feel it. It feels very, very similar to the size of a Dark Magic, definitely. So the price on this one at Yo-Yo Expert is 35 bucks. So 35 bucks, and what they said, they're set out to build a plastic body yo-yo to compete with an all-metal yo-yo. And I think this, in my opinion, definitely has done it.